Today you will learn about loops in Python. So what are loops? Loops are like magical spells that help you automate tasks in Python, or basically that help you run certain tasks automatically, thus saving you time and effort. So let's get started and help you automate like a pro. First type of loop in Python, that is for loop. What is for loop? So imagine you have a fence to paint, okay, and you will not pick plank by plank to paint each everything. That's where for loop comes into place. It will iterate over a sequence like a list, string, etc., and it will help you run certain block of code every time. So let's see it with an example. So the syntax of for loop is something like this. So for let's say I in whatever the sequence is, I will call it sequence over here, and whatever block of code you want to run, you have to put it over here. So let's say that we have fruits in hand. So fruits is equal to, it is a list, and list consists of say apple, then of course banana and orange. Okay, we have a list called as fruits, and if we have to iterate over each and every fruit to print it or use it for some coding purpose, then for that what we'll do is, let me write it again. Okay, I will say for fruit in fruits. Okay, and inside this whatever you want to execute, like multiple lines of code is possible. For now I will do is print only, and I will call it as I love eating fruits. Not really, I don't really like all of them. So let's save this, and all we have to do is run that. So python loops.py, this should be fruit. Okay, so over here what we have done is for fruit in fruits. That means every time it will point to one of the fruit, so we want to use it over here. Okay, that fruit. Let me clear it and rerun this. So now it says I love eating apple, I love eating banana, I love eating orange. So every time it is printing one of them. So this is how our for loop works. So now let's talk about second type of loop in Python, that is while loop. So while loop will continue running the code block until the condition is met or until the condition is true. So let's look at how to create that. So the syntax is while condition. Whatever the condition is, let's say condition was first of all true. So until this condition doesn't become false, it will keep on running the while loop. Okay, now let's see a practical example of this. Now let's create a guess the word by using Python while loop. So let's say that you want to allow user only to guess it 3 times. Okay, guess count is equal to 0 while guess count is less than 3. We are going to take input from the user. So I will say it as guess and get it an input from the user. So what is your guess? Now let's increment the guess count over here. So plus equal to 1. Then check if the guessed word by the user is same as our secret word. So I will keep it as secret itself. If this is true, then what we can do is let's print it. Okay, you guessed the secret, and break out of the loop. This should be double equal to, let's add a congratulation over here. So quickly what we have done is we have created a guess counter that is starts with 0. In the while loop it checks for the condition guess count is less than 3. Then we take the input from the user as his guessed word. We increment the guess count and we check if the guessed word is equal to our secret word. If that is the condition, then we say congratulations, you guessed the secret word, and we break out of the loop. Also there is another way over here, that is by when the guess count reaches the this certain condition, then it will exit out of that loop. So now out of that, let's say sorry you failed to guess the word. And you know what, this will be printed only when the guess count is equal to 3, because there is a success condition also to get out of this loop, and there is a failure condition, so we need to check only for failure condition. That time we will print this, okay, equal to 3. Otherwise let's not print anything, because here we are already printing. Save it, run this python3 loops.py, guess the word. Okay, I say SHU. Okay, sorry you failed to guess the word. That is correct. So let's try to rerun the program again. Okay, over here let's guess some word, and then let's guess the correct word. Okay, secret. And as you can see, it says congratulations, you have guessed the word. So that is how we were able to create a word guesser game by using Python's while loop. Now let's see the third type of loop, that is for else. It is similar to for, just that else is appended at the end of the for loop. Okay, that is outside for loop. I will show you in the code. The else block will run every time except for the time when there is condition to break inside the for loop. So let's look at it practically. We again have the same sequence, that is fruits. Let's say fruit in fruits. Here we write certain code, then come out of the for loop and write else and whatever you want to. All the fruits are over, let's say that. Okay, this will be executed only when this for loop for loop gets over. If there is any break statement, that it will not run. So in this, let's print the fruits again. So again I will say I love eating, it is eating fruit. Save this and run the project. And as you can see, I love eating apple, banana and orange, and then it says all the fruits are over. What if I write certain condition? Okay, so if fruit is equal to, let's say that apple. Okay, and we will break out of the loop. Let's run this, and as you can see, I love eating apple, and it never executed the else block. So this is benefit of using for else loop, where without having any last element check, we can write something in else and it will be always executed except the time where we have certain condition to break out of the loop. Now let's look at nested loops. So now here we have sequence. Okay, sequence where it consists of fruits inside a list. A list will have a list that consists of fruits, then some vegetables. Okay, broccoli, and let's say one more, we have garlic. Now we want to access element by element. Okay, so for that we have again for loop. So for item in items, or sequence actually, let's call this as items. Okay, then we will write for item in items and print it. So item is item. Let's save this and print it. And as you can see, we are able to print each and everything. We can also add some conditions over here, conditions or like code block, like let's say printing new items. Let me clear this and rerun this. And as you can see, it says printing new items, item apple, banana, orange, and then printing new items, that is when we go to the second loop, and items are broccoli and garlic. So over here, instead of print statement, you will have your own code blocks there with certain logics, with certain conditions and everything, that will be running automatically every time when this loop runs. Now the final type of loop is comprehension loops. That is basically a sugar coating of this for loop, because this for loop is like quite huge, right? That will be one liner. So let me show you. Let's copy this one, fruits, over here, and we will create a for loop again. So this will be quite different, and just stick with me. I will say square bracket for fruit in fruits. Okay. Now if we have to print something, we will put it over here, or if we have to do something, then we will put it over here. Okay, so fruit, I'll just print fruit. And if you save and run the project, you can see it is printing all the fruits like line by line. So every time we are able to access it, or we can do is we can assign it to some variable and then use it. Okay, so this was one type. Quickly, what we have done is we have created a comprehension of for loop where this is the syntax. First, whatever you want to perform is done. Then for whatever like name you want to assign, fruit over here in fruits. So basically it is read like this. So for fruit in fruits and then print over here. Now let's say that you want to have certain conditions, like you want to execute this only when the fruit name starts with A, right? So for that we can write conditions also over here. Print fruit, okay, for fruit in fruits only if fruit name dot starts with A. I'll bring this on next lines so that it is easily able to understand. We have again used the comprehension itself, although we said it is one liner, but since it is getting much more bigger, so that's why we have brought on the next lines. We have printed the fruit only if the fruit starts with A. So that is inside the for loop. So for fruit in fruits, if fruit starts with A, then print it. So let's see that, print it. And as you can see, we are only able to print apple. Now let's say that when it was else, right, you wanted to say I don't like this fruit. So for that also is possible. Let me comment this. And you might be thinking that we can put else over here, then print over here, but this won't work. This is not how it works. So let me show you how that works. So for that we are going to take this if condition, we are going to shift it after print, and then take the else condition, put it after if, and print over here I don't like this fruit. And since it is like this, we are going to pass it. Let me save this and explain to you again. So when we have list comprehension or for loop in comprehension and we want to use if and else condition, this is how it is. So for fruit in fruits, if fruit starts with A, then print it, else print whatever you want or do whatever you want. Okay, so the condition is like this. Again, first the success condition or success code block is printed, or success code block is written, then the success condition, that is if condition, is written, then else and failure condition or failure code block is written, and then finally the for loop. Instead of this over here, right, you could have written a function and then function will be called in the loop itself. So that is also totally possible. Now let's save this and run the project. And as you can see, first time it prints apple, because the fruits over here are apple, banana and oranges, and first fruit starts with A, so that's why it printed fruit. Then it went and it said I don't like banana and orange. So this was loops in Python. And did you know you can send email in Python in just 60 seconds? So watch this video for that.